Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Sunday, May 19th, 2024, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Now Mind You podcast. This is episode 118 Manga, and I am your host, TJ, host singular. Everyone else had some scheduling conflicts. It's what it is. We'll be back in full force, ideally, next week. With that being said, the docket for today is plentiful. We got Hajime no Ippo, we have Sakamoto Days, we got Chainsaw Man, we got Jujutsu Kaisen, and of course, I'll get into my favorite chapter this week as well as the topic of the week, which is what are you reading? In this case, what am I reading, right? Without further ado, let me get us into Hajime no Ippo. Now, we're talking Hajime no Ippo, of course. Author is George Morikawa. We're talking about chapter 1456, titled The Champion's Front Foot. Where do we leave off? Rosario was prepping to close that gap. How would I summarize this? There's some good action in here. Good action. Rosario wasted no time. My review, the detail on that front foot placement was fucking dope to see. This is literally the most important battle whenever you have an orthodox and a southpaw fighter facing off against each other. And it's crazy to me too because at the time I was reading this, I was also watching the Fury Usyk undercard. And on that undercard, there was a heavyweight bout, Moses Itauma, who is a southpaw, and I forget the name of the fighter he was fighting. But with that being said, Moses was winning that front foot battle every time and lining up his left hand to get like the knockout he did in the second round. Now back to Ippo, of course. Let's keep in mind that this is only round 2 so far of this bout, and if it's a title bout, more than likely there's going to be 12 rounds total. And if it's a title bout, we know it's a title bout. So the strategy is definitely to use, for Rosario that is to use his That's Unfair domain expansion and take Mashiba out in the early rounds. That being said, it looks like Mashiba's fixing to show him that he's mastered the front foot battle in his own right. Because, I mean, the chapter literally ends. You see Mashiba's left foot looking like it's about to take a step. And, of course, next week, Ippo goes on break. But, you know, Morikawa's a busy man. He's an older gentleman, so I hope he's taking as much time as he needs for his health. We've had a lot of mangakas passing recently, so we just hope that he prioritizes his health, right? And of course, I'd like to see Ippo get back into the ring. I'm just going to put that out there. Moving on, Sakamoto Days, Yuto Suzuki. We're talking chapter 166 called The False Madman. Where we leave off, Gaku wants to run that last fight back right now. And by last fight, I'm talking about, of course, his fight with Mr. Takamura. How would I summarize this? Mr. Takamura is a problem, and he's been lying to us this whole time. My review. We knew what time it was when we got that Hajime flashback, but goddamn. But really, man, fuck all that. You think I'm senile, don't you? The man talked clearly, which is so damn shocking. Even Haruma, perpetual eyes closed, opened his eyes. Mr. Takamura severed his arm to break free of Uzuki's chain, Slur's chain, caught his arm, passed the sword to his severed arm, reattached his arm, and caught his sword, and then proceeded to piece up Haruma something crazy. Literally. All while doing this, he was monologuing about how some people, red scumbags, don't deserve to live. So we have what in this world is the equivalent of an apex predator who reacts to hostility, is apparently fully conscious of his actions, and seems to have some type of god complex. How does the JAA need anybody else in the order at this point? There's no way. Haruma's still alive after this, right? Like he can't be alive unless they hook him up with some type of Darth Vader suit. I mean, we've seen people come back from worse, Mr. Kashima. That being said, yes, I heard the rumor that Netflix got the rights to Sakamoto Days. However, where's my anime announcement? Final point, this is off the top of the dome. Sakamoto, Nagamo are still in play. So we'll see where they take it next. I mean, they both kind of got a little bit off-sided there by Mr. Takamura, but there's a lot going on. There's still a question of, is Mr. Yotsumura nearby? Like, what's going on with Amane, etc., etc.? How does this wrap up? Does Sheen get back into the mix too? So on and so forth, right? We still have Natsuki and Mafuyu, the Seiba brothers, like how does that get resolved, etc. Like there's a lot at stake and a lot at play in this arc right now, but yeah, can't wait for next week's chapter. Moving on, Chainsaw Man, Tatsuki Fujimoto, chapter 165. This was titled Everyday Scenery. Last panel, hey, Denji wants some sushi. How do I summarize this? Fujimoto had us in the first half. I'm going to give this a quick review. The way this chapter ended is not the way this chapter began, but I should have known better. It's weird that Denji reacted to the dead body like that. If anyone's seen a bunch of dead bodies, it's him. Specifically in the fact that he's showing concern, or I don't know if it's concern so much as like a lack of reaction from the people around him at just seeing that dead body in the street. And the reaction is like, oh yeah, cleanup crew is gonna handle it. It's like, wait, hold on, that's a that used to be a person, right? I guess through Fami's explanation of like why they want to quote unquote save Denji, kind of answers my question that I've had since the start of the series about what is Pochita. So there's confirmation that Pochita is the Chainsaw Man's heart, and it looks like if they are able to somehow break the contract, Chainsaw Man, the real Chainsaw Man appears, and Denji gets a normal heart. Excuse me. And he can become a normal human again. But Denji reminds them effectively that, hey, his life before all this happened, before meeting Pochita, or at least forming that contract with Pochita, was abject poverty. And he does not want to go back to that life of pain and suffering, right? So is the end goal of the series for Denji to become human? Like, what's going to happen to Ayuda, etc.? But then Katana Devil makes a suggestion that was super on brand for this series. Excuse me. We'll see where this goes, but I still feel like Chainsaw Man is dragging its feet right now. Personally, I mean, I feel like it's going around, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, the past few chapters of Chainsaw Man have not really been grabbing me, so to speak, or holding my attention for that matter. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels like there's something else that could be going on right now and not this. And it's weird too because, you know, we finally have Denji, Asa together, the two protagonists, the protagonist of the original series and the protagonist of the second half of the series, but it doesn't feel like the plot is moving. It's like the plot is moving forward, but it's not. I don't know how to explain it. But with that, let me transition over to our last manga for this week, which is Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen Geigao Kutami, chapter 260, titled Inhuman Makio Shinjuku Showdown Part 32. Where'd we leave off? Tag team back again. Whoop, there it is, right? Summary. Todo and Yuji are back to deliver another ass whooping, another beatdown. Ain't no fair ones being shot today. Although you could argue that Sukuna has never shot a fair one ever, right? How would I review? Part 32 of this battle. And again, how do they ultimately lose this one? Like, how does Sukuna end up winning this round? Because it seems like no matter what they do, he always seems to win in some way, shape, or form. There's a reason why Toto's a legend. His teleportation swap is like the threat of a takedown in MMA, right? He gets you with that shit one time. Now you're biting at every single clap, every single feint. And when he catches you with that feint, you get hit with a black flash by Yuji. Now, it looks like... Well, before I go any further, this is off the top of the dome. I understand the purpose of Boogie Woogie, the tool that is replacing Toto's hand. But Boogie Woogie looks a little silly to me, personally. I feel like that tool design could have been a little bit different. Like you guys, like, why couldn't they have done something like, I guess going into Marvel Comics, like the original design for Claw, one of Black Panther's antagonists? Like, Claw literally has like the sonic cannon as one of his arms. Why not something along those lines as opposed to what he's got now? But it's what it is. Backing into my notes, it looks like Sukuna has recovered enough to use Malevolent Shrine, right? Especially after Yuji delivers that, 8th or 9th Black Flash? But then someone appears in the shadows, and I know that ain't who I think it is, right? If it's Gojo, can reverse curse technique regrow a whole body like that? We'll see how this pans out, but overall, this fight has been dragging. And there's no way that this is the final battle. There are too many loose ends here that still remain to be tied. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But if the name of the game is ultimately that the bad guys win, part of me just wants to hurry up and get there. The unnecessary drag out, some of the unnecessary deaths, like basically all the tanks in this crew have been taken out, give or take like a few people. So who's left, right? Segueing into my favorite chapter this week, I'm gonna go with Kengan Omega, the latest chapter that dropped, which I believe was 260. Hold on, I'll grab that for you guys right quick. 261. We have the battle between Jirota and of course Kaolan, and this is what I'm gonna say. Battle was crazy, mostly because, spoiler alert, Jirota just forced Kaolan to have to revert to his Muay Thai, and we've only seen that on one other time. And if you thought Kaolan's boxing was fearsome, you're not ready for his Muay Thai. And anytime you get like the silent strong type to crack an unhinged smile, madness will ensue. Alright, switching over to the topic of the week. What are you reading? So what am I reading? Outside of what we deliver here on the podcast, I'm reading Daemons of the Shadow Realm by Hiromu Arakawa, basically the author of Full Metal Alchemist, Silver Spoon, Go-Go Loser Ranger, Kengan Omega, obviously, One Punch Man versus Baki Rahan. I'm also rereading Sun Ken Rock Crows. I was doing a Gantz reread for a little bit, but I fell off of that. I'm trying to get back onto it. And then what else? That's all I can think of right now. But yeah. All right, y'all. This has been episode 118 Manga. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for engaging. If you guys have anything you want to add, please don't hesitate to do so. You can reach out to us on social media, YouTube, etc. You can find this podcast on any podcast distribution platform by simply searching for Now Mind You Podcast. And as far as social media is concerned, all you got to do really is look up the tag at NOWMINDYOUPOD. If you're looking for me on social media, it's going to be Instagram, Tuss4Skate, TUSS_SKATE. If you're looking for Matt, at Matt Hambrick on everything. That's MATTHAMBRIC. And if you're looking for Bryce, it's going to be on Instagram at AXE_ONCA. That's AXE_ONCA. Bay. Right. With that, y'all, hope you have a great week. I'll either catch you in the combat episode or I'll just see you next week. Peace.